Hello, everyone. It's me, Dark Symphony 777, with my good friend. You'll know him from like some videos that I record because for funds. Say hello.
Don't tell them I'm here.
But you have to be here. Don't be Banjo. We're here with a part 2 of the original characters tier list. The dumb stupid thing that I'm doing to pass the time because I'm bored. I'm doing this because I'm bored. Don't
Just a
bother
little
me.
distraction from cradle to grave.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. And I decided to invite my friend from Germany, Meep, here to basically do something really even dumber. I'm going to pitch the characters, and he's gonna say where he thinks they should belong.
Oh dear. Dear, oh me, oh my.
Yes. So here's the characters. Here's the characters I have that I did from the first video. You can see at the very top we have a little pony who's in a hazmat suit, who's basically a zombie, and you'll hug her, otherwise she'll bash you with a rock. And she's looking for her mom.
Okay.
Yeah, these are yeah. So, are you excited?
I don't know what to expect, so I'm kind of nervous.
Yeah, so these are like all the OCs that I went through and found the ones. I only picked the ones that are like important enough to talk about. But there are some crossovers, like you have Mana and Mahad, they're literally Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. It's like, yeah, but they technically count.
Mad.
Yeah, they're mad. Do you have any specific ones do you want to talk about, or do you want me to just grab some random ones?
I suggest, since this is your video, you know the characters, and I'm just here to evaluate them, that you take the lead.
All right, we'll start with this one right here, because I also added Gajira and these two characters from stories I have not finished because I wanted to talk about this guy, and I really want to shit on this guy. Okay, let's just start with Chopper. I don't know how to actually describe him outside of this guy's a Gary Stu. Like, this guy's literally a Gary Stu. Like, I don't.
Wait, isn't Chopper that reindeer?
No. This is from a story called Paper Chopper. It's like a 3-part fan fiction trilogy. I haven't actually reviewed the story yet. I've been waiting for the perfect time to review these stories to completely just destroy them because of how bad they are. They're basically like retellings, in quotation marks, of Paper Mario, Dollars in Your Door, and Super Paper Mario. But instead of the main character being Mario, it's some random kid named Chopper who descended from a different planet that blew up from this guy named Maquando. And he kept saying,
Kal-El, last son of Krypton.
Pretty much. And he's like, I don't want to be the hero, but he keeps getting wrapped up in, like, the adventures. He's just some random kid that showed up out of nowhere. And he keeps getting, like, every single female he meets, they instantly fall in love with him. He doesn't suffer any adversity. He even gets Mario and Kirby and Sonic to follow him and praise him. It's so bad.
I see. He bypassed the character development.
He has 0 character development. Well, no, wait. He actually has some character development, but it's very, very minor.
See, the problem that I always have with these kinds of descriptions is that I think Gary Stu characters who are really overpowered, I think they can work.
Yeah, like you have Saitama. Like Saitama can technically fall under a specific type of suit. The Marty Zoo
by everyone.
Yeah, because he just curb stomps everyone. But he makes it work. And then you have someone like Katakuri. Oh, Cardboard Hut's not gonna like this if she ever watches. When we're first, I made a video talking about Mary Sue's, and one of the examples I picked was Katakuri. As like he's actually, when we're first introduced to him, he's technically treated like a Sue character, and part of Katakuri's whole character arc is simply that we see that that whole thing is one big gigantic act, and he's basically this kind of somewhat goofy guy who really cares about his family, and he's basically created this reputation about him to protect his family and so that way they don't get bullied, and him just being the big brother, and that actually worked in that context. With Chopper, it doesn't work. It's like nothing about him works.
Just on the topic of Mary Sue and Gary Stu, I think what most people fail to appreciate about this label is that I think it's not a binary or a checklist. I think it's a percentage scale.
Yeah.
I think there are different characteristics, not all of which need to be ticked in order to be considered a Mary Sue. Just a certain percentage of them need to be either present or need to be especially egregious. I think it's.
I would say Chopper falls under that criteria because he's just the author. Okay, so the Paper Chopper series is basically styled in the combat sequences of Paper Mario. So have you ever seen Paper Mario? You ever seen how it plays?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, so as long as you get the bare basics of how it works, like how the combat works, that's it. It basically styles like that. But instead of in the game where you have to switch partners, no, he has all the partners already out, and they just take turns, and they only attack Chopper. But he barely takes any damage. There's no threat of any of the bad guys because you can't take any of the villains seriously because they try so hard to treat Chopper as this threat, and you can't really take any of the work seriously because Chopper is just such a nothing character to get invested in, and that's.
Is there at least like character threat going on? Like, is there, for example, like the idea of, oh, do I kill or do I spare?
No. His character is literally summed up as he was just a boy from a planet that blew up, and he just wants to be a normal boy, but he keeps getting swept up into this, and that is literally the extent of his character.
Does it affect him in any way? Like,
no. It's
just okay. Yeah, okay. This is trash.
Yeah, he's a D tier. Like there is just nothing. And what makes this even sadder is the Paper Chopper stories are actually kind of entertaining in that so bad it's good way. Because you have the flower enemies from the daisies.
No.
Okay. So the daisies are a subsection of enemies introduced in Yoshi's Island, and their whole gimmick is they put you to sleep. So they do like a lot of damage, but they also put you to sleep, so they can actually one-shot you if you're not prepared. He turned them into Powerpuff Girls. No, that's the weird thing. He actually makes any idea that's not specifically centered around the character of Chopper, he seems to weirdly make that work. But whenever it comes to Chopper himself, it just flounders. It's complete trash.
You know what? This description that you're giving me kind of sounds like Sword Art Online, because the problem with Sword Art Online was it wasn't that the concept wasn't interesting. Like
it's just no one. It's just you couldn't get behind Kirito as a character.
Yeah, exactly. Because Kirito always was so overpowered, and you never got a feeling for his vulnerabilities because basically every single girl in the story fell in love with him, and he was always the strongest, so you never got a feeling for his vulnerabilities.
I guess that's why people
ever revolved around the vulnerabilities he did have, because he did have vulnerabilities. Like, for example, when what's her fuck died.
Asuka? No, wait, I'm thinking of
I couldn't protect you.
I was thinking of
that's why I like the Abridged series so much, because in the Abridged series he's a total douchebag and he's very insecure, and you always get to like he's very snarky, and so whenever he talks, like you get both this swagger, but the deep insecurity that is behind the swagger is what makes him so interesting and so kind of relatable.
Yeah, okay. So that I was actually reminded of Log Horizon. You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, so the whole it's a similar idea to Sword Art Online, but the main character, instead of being a combat, he's more of a tactician role, in that he's the one who orders people to do things. And so he's really smart, but he's like completely inept in like everything that has to do with specifically war tactics.
Yeah, Kirito in the Bridge series is basically just I know how to fight and kill people, and I'm willing to do so. What the fuck are social skills?
He has and Log Horizon is social. It's like you take Sword Art Online, but you switch like a lot of the drama for like comedy, because it's like a lot of it like they 9 times out of 10 they're just trying to solve like just normal random stuff, like build a burger stand. Let's sell burgers in this town. Ha!
Okay, so Chopper
is a D tier, bottom of the barrel. No, we're not talking about Chopper.
No, I was talking about how do you because one of the more interesting things about rating characters is not just how bad they are,
what you can fix them. How do you yeah? So so I think actually Paper Chopper actually had a solution. Like it kind of. Like, the author tried to do that, because there was a part in the first story where Chopper is going. If you probably never know you don't know the plot of Paper Mario, but
no.
Yeah, basically the plot of Paper Mario is Bowser steals his special rod to basically commit selfish wishes and makes himself invincible, and he takes the guardians of that rod, the Star Spirits, and spreads them across the Mushroom Kingdom. In the story,
stupid plan. Go on.
Yeah, and Paper Mario is like really memorable because it kicked off with like Bowser actually curb stomping Mario. That's actually the first thing that happened. One of the first things that happens in the first game is Bowser beating Mario, which was just completely caught everyone off left field when it came out. One of the Star Spirits ended up in this ice castle named Shiver Palace. And in this story, Chopper and all his groupies he gets separated from his partners, and he kind of wanders around. And then he enters a room where there's like a weird crystal, and then it shines, and he's all of a sudden he's in this just out of nowhere field of flowers, and he runs into his mom, who's been dead forever. And she basically explores the lore of the planet and his species. And I thought, okay, you're at least trying to incorporate something. It's very basic. Like, can you expand upon this? He doesn't expand upon it. It's like you just get that one moment with him meeting his mother trying to explain some things about his species and what his species as a whole is destined for, and his role in that. And then she leaves because he technically ended up in limbo somehow. And then there's just nothing that comes from that.
So, do you want to hear my feedback on how I would improve it?
Yes. Because
so my go-to solution for Gary Stews is make him suffer. Just introduce a character who's OP as fuck, basically goes in like, oh, you think you're hot shit? Slaps him across the face a couple times, and basically is like, yeah, come back when you're something. And from that point on, once you've humbled the character, there are basically infinite possibilities where you can take him. You send him on like a revenge story, like basically make him consumed by. I was at the top of the food chain. Now I'm at the bottom. I'll make that guy pay you. Or do you give him like PTSD? Like basically, no, I don't want to fight him again. I got whooped last time. Nope. Or do you give him like the idea of, holy shit, I need to get so much stronger. Can I protect the people around me with just this power that I have? And like this way you can actually introduce like themes of paranoia into him. Like every encounter now for him is like, I was so unprepared. Like one of the
like a boy who bit off more than he can chew, and he got like a taste of reality.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the things in Overlord actually is one of my favorite things that they did was as soon as Chaltia got brainwashed, Ainz was put on the back foot because now he cannot make any large move on the world because he doesn't know how strong the world really is, because that was like the strongest thing that could have happened and almost killed him. So essentially what
and even then, wait, didn't Ainz literally have to do like a bunch of preparation just to even like hold his own against Sheltier?
Exactly. Because I mean, he could have taken the Guardians with him. Like this was basically just a display of dominance, just to inspire confidence in his subordinates. Had he thrown the entire might of Nazarick behind the assault, Shaltier wouldn't have stood a chance. But you see what I mean? Like the point of the Shaltier fight wasn't to say, wow, look how powerful Shaltier is, look how powerful Ainz is. Only what Ainz can do can only like Ainz's subordinates can even pose a challenge to him. No, the point behind that was to show that this world is not as it seems, and that there are more powerful forces in this world that you need to account for. You cannot get reckless. That's what I love it. So why I love that moment so much is because it constantly keeps Ainz on the back foot and always keeps him like really paranoid about making any larger moves. And essentially, that's what you need to do with a character who's that OP. You need to give them fears. You need to make it so that every combat encounter actually matters. By I would go on full on rage mode, like make him go on a rampage, like show that he has no mercy and his companions are getting wary of him. Like they're like, do you really need to go so overboard? And he's like, yes, I have to show that I'm the strongest, because if word gets around that I got my ass whooped, people will think I'm weak and they'll target us more. I need to project strength.
Okay.
This kind of thing.
Okay, I can like, see that.
There's so many ways that you can take this. The problem is just you have to actually do that.
Yeah, and this guy's and the author didn't with this one.
This is just one solution. Introduce a really strong enemy that can humble your protagonist. Like there are other ways. I just think this one is like the easiest, like the one that came to mind most.
Okay.
So that's how I would fix it. Then again, most people who know me and my writing styles know that my solution to everything is, can I murder / torture it? No. Fuck. Those are my first two answers.
All right, so we're done with Chopper, right?
Yes, we're done with Chopper.
Okay, so let's just get the other one I haven't reviewed, because this one's from a story that's not complete yet, but I wanted to talk about him. Gajira.
Chopper is a
Gajira. Okay, so I'm going to describe his characteristics, and I want you to hear if he sounds familiar. He is a really, really big guy that can turn into a lizard, has a Kanabo, gets drunk. His introduction in the story has him falling from a very high place and getting pissed over the fact it didn't kill him. Wants to start a gigantic war just so he can find something that can kill him. And does that sound familiar?
No.
You don't watch One Piece? You don't watch One Piece?
No, I already told you. I don't.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I watched One Piece with Sabaody.
I forgot. Okay. Do you know who Kaido is?
No.
Okay, so Kaido in One Piece is like the strongest thing. He's a big, gigantic guy who turns into a dragon, who likes to drink, who wells a Kanabo, whose whole shtick is that he wants to die because he wants to fight. He wants to secure his place in history, and wants to start a gigantic war just specifically so something can kill him. Like that's Kaido's entire character, and this is just that. Just replace Dragon with Godzilla.
You mean nondescript Japanese lizard?
Yeah, nondescript Japanese lizard. Oh my god. So okay, so I'm not. That's really all I can describe about him because he. Let's get the big thing out of the way. The main issue, one of the two main issues, is the fact he just has so much in common with Kaido. And anyone who ever watched One Piece knows how big a deal Kaido was. The guy was built up since like the very climax of Thriller Bark. Like before the time skip even happened, this guy was built up for like around a decade. And like the first time Luffy and Kaido met, Luffy like kept punching him, and Kaido's like, "Oh, you made me sober. One shot." That was literally the first time they meet. He one-shots Luffy. And Luffy can do jack shit on him. And it takes another 4 years just for Luffy to be able to beat Kaido. Like in terms of like him updating the chapter every week. It takes like a total of 4 years for Wano to end.
Okay.
The only thing that the author Gajira does different from Kaido is his backstory, because I think that's like the one complaint people had about Kaido, is the fact we didn't really get a really deep look into his backstory. It's a minor thing. It might come eventually, but we don't know. But we didn't get a backstory on Kaido, but we got a backstory on this guy. His backstory is Gajira came from this planet that was full of people like him that turned into Godzilla monsters. So you had people who turned into Godzilla, you had people who turned into Mothra, you had people that turned into Ghidorah, all that shit.
Okay.
And his people, his entire population, like his entire species, had a curse where his people could not die unless it's specifically in battle. So unlike Kaido, who was like so strong that he didn't think anyone could kill him, his people are specifically lived to not be able to die unless it's specifically in battle. And he really resented that because, like, well, all we have is battle. What else do we have? And so his father basically forcibly installed the idea onto him. And he had another father figure who kind of rebelled against his father, who against the guy's father. Gajira overthrew not only his father, but literally destroyed the entire planet, except for Gajira, his new father figure, and like a couple other, and like 3 other people. But Gajira was
I just realized something.
What?
His name is Gajira.
Yes.
Oh God! How on the nose? Why do you like? This isn't just on the nose. This is in the nose.
I know, but let me finish. Gajira is actually dying. And so his father figure is like, you have I know there's a prophecy surrounding you that you have to fight in this specific battle long in the future, but it's not now. So I'm going to give you my life to basically give you immortality, even in battle, except against this one specific enemy you're going to fight far in the future. And so he kills him. So the guy gives him immortality, and over the next millennia, like this guy is apparently like hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of years old, he kind of gets like so sick of everything that he just travels the multiverse and just basically just kills everyone. Oh, because he's basically just sating it. He's basically sating his boredom until he specifically either finds the person who can kill him, which, spoiler alert for Total Drama Infinite 2, it's an SCP.
Wait, which SCP?
The Tickle Monster.
Oh, no, not 999.
Not just 999, but 999 combined with Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist to make a...
What? I'm sorry?
Yeah, Total Drama Infinite is basically, oh, here's like a bunch of characters from like different franchises and stuff, and they compete in like a contest for like $1 million.
Because, like, the lore of SCP-999 is that it's basically just a baby god.
Yeah, it uses that lore. It uses that lore. And basically, the whole thing with like but Gajira thinks that, oh, there's another person who could possibly kill him, being the Scarlet King, because the Scarlet King is the Scarlet King. So he's basically going around the multiverse, killing all these people, sating his boredom, and trying to find these keys to weaken the Scarlet King's locks so he can basically just die. Like, okay, I want to fight. I don't care if I kill you. I'm going to fight.
Scarlet King. I love the Volgan. Have you seen that video?
No, actually. But let me finish. And
okay.
And honestly, I'm going to spoil this. He's not going to be in D tier. Like he's barely going to be in the C tier. I think the backstory of him is just saves him enough to be C tier. The only other issue I have with Gajira is the simple fact that you can't really take him seriously because he's pretty much inactive for a large portion of the story. Okay. whenever we meet him, he's just drinking and telling his subordinates to do stuff like, "You go do things. Let me drink." But when he shows up, he basically curb stomps everyone. It's basically that's
God. These kinds of, I absolutely detest those kinds of villains.
I don't think he's great. Like he's like at the very bottom of C tier. Like the very, very bottom.
I think you can make the kind of... Hold on, I'm gonna send you the video so you can watch it later.
Okay.
I think you can make the kind of villain who just orders people around work. But the problem is you have to really go into the hierarchy and the strategy.
That's the reason why he's at the bottom of the C tier, because you just can't take him seriously as a villain because you're not seeing the hierarchy. And I get the point behind Total Drama Infinite too, is that it's supposed to be for the most part a comedy story. Like it's not supposed to be a super serious story. It's just come on, it's a story where you have people like Edward Elric. You have Katakuri. You have Katakuri falling in love with Charlie from Casbin Hotel. You have Waluigi. His whole thing is like he wants to be friends with Isabelle, and then you have Kiryu from Yakuza just hanging, like teaching Glass Joe from Punch-Out how to be tough. It's like we gotta tough you up. Like yeah, take a pitch. And then you have Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury falling in love with Aqua.
Yeah, the thing is, if you don't do that, make fun of the hierarchy. Like make the subordinates just do whatever. Just basically make nobody take the hierarchy seriously and just go ham with it. But like half-assing it is no. I
understand.
What is the famous saying? Don't half-ass something, full-ass one thing.
I never heard that phrase before.
Hold on.
I don't mean no disrespect to the author, because I guess you can say I'm pen pals with the author. And he wanted to do this idea, and I have full respect of him wanting to do this idea. Like, I'm not going to trash the idea because ultimately it's his story. What he wants to do with his story is up to him. And And if he likes this idea, he likes this idea. I'm not going to trash someone's idea because at the end, well, I guess you kind of say in a weird sort of way we are kind of trashing it. I don't, but I'm trying.
Not trashing it.
We're yeah, it's a weird thing. Like,
I'm not saying it's invalid. I'm just saying it's not well written. That's not trashing it.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're not going like full like we're not going like RPG dual wield RPG like on Chopper.
Like even Chopper, like I like to think of it like trashing is if you say like no, none of this works. You need to like trashing it is doing it over again. Like for me, trashing is when you say basically scorched earth, do it over. Like if I say okay, so we can still make this work without rebooting the entire thing, I don't think I'm trashing it. I think I'm pointing out flaws. Like,
okay,
if you want to call that trashing, that's fine. But
okay, then I'll reword it. We don't want to. I don't want to insult Mean King. I don't want him to feel like his feelings are hurt or anything like that. I just want to point out that I do respect the fact that you wanted to try this, and I respect the fact that even if it's not really done well, because he did tell me that other people did say that they liked the idea, and they liked the idea. I'm not gonna invalidate their arguments. This is just my honest opinion. All I'm saying is
let's be real here. Ideas are cheap. I'm gonna be more brutal here, maybe just because I don't know the author, but like ideas are worthless.
Yeah,
it's
ideas
the execution that matters.
Yeah, it's the execution. And at this point in time, because of how, even if this is supposed to be like, okay, so let me actually get a comparison, because I actually grabbed one of the characters is actually a comparison. Where is she? Where is Nomura? There it is, Nomura from Total Drama Everything, which it's a different author, but the same kind of principle. And the fact that it's a sequel, and the sequel's like more serious. If we compare Gajira with Nomura, it's black and white. Like everything that is considered wrong with Gajira, that I find is wrong with Gajira, is done well with Nomura. Because unlike Gajira, Nomura is one character. There's no hierarchy. There's no other there's no other like minions or anything like that. It's just her. And the main difference between Gajira and Nomura is how they're presented as threats. Like I could take Nomura seriously as an antagonist. But I can't take Gajira as seriously, because in Total Drama Everything, the main two characters of this story are you're really gonna laugh at this. Yusei Fudo and Lammy from Parappa the Rapper. Is he still there? Hold on. I think we may have.
I thought you heard my heavy sigh.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Let me sigh louder.
No, I don't hear it. Okay, there we go. But like I said, the execution is much better handled on Nomura. So how Nomura is handled is we don't actually meet Nomura until near the very end, but her presence is actually felt throughout the entire story. So what happens is, in the first challenge, Lammy finds the necklace of Nomura. It's basically a necklace that technically holds Nomura's body in stasis. Basically acts as a prison. And Lammy puts it on. But as Lammy continuously wears it, everyone's getting worried because Lammy starts acting very off. Like, she starts sabotaging contestants. She starts trying to kill them, and she even tries to take off the necklace, but the necklace refused to be let off. And so she deliberately leaves the contest to try and find out more about more about what this is. And so she wanders the world, afraid of getting near anyone for fear of the necklace taking over her and basically killing them. And then near the end, even how it's set up, like like when we're first introduced properly to Nomura is after Yusei and Lamy actually duel, like they actually have a duel, and Yusei wins because he's Yusei, because you gotta have that. And they immediately set up Nomura as like someone who's an actual threat. Like she doesn't like even when Lamy's gone, like that period of time when Lamy's gone, and they're still completely worried. Like they're still like even while they're doing the challenges, they're looking for Lamy. Like they're completely worried about her and wondering what's going on, and stuff and bad stuff keeps happening to them, even though Lamy's not there anymore. And they're just completely wondering, it's like, what's going on? Why is this happening? And the presentation specifically behind Nomura is that she's more of a more Eldritch a sort of pseudo Eldritch abomination. Like they get the name of her, but you don't know why she's doing this. We don't know how she's doing this until they find out it's the necklace. And then
you know what this reminds me of?
What?
Thanos.
Yeah,
MCU Thanos.
Yeah, but there's no Infinity Gauntlet. There's like none of that.
No. But in phase 1, the entire reason why Loki invaded Earth.
Oh yeah,
to conquer it for Thanos.
Oh yeah. You're talking about phase 1. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and for example, Ronan also worked for Thanos because Ronan was basically in service of Thanos. And like the entire idea behind building Ultron was to defend against Thanos. Like the entirety of working basically a lot of movies in the MCU up until Infinity War were about defending against the things that Thanos caused.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Thanos felt like such a threat, because his impact was felt on the world. I think that's what you're saying is missing from Gajir.
Yeah, that would be it. Just if I could take him seriously as an antagonist, like in any way, he would at least get bumped up to a B.
Okay, what would he need to do in order to get to be taken seriously?
Honestly, the backstory actually helped a lot, but I think the big thing is, one, you have to drop a lot of it. The first thing I would have to say is you have to separate him from Kaido. That'd be the first major thing, because because he's literally just a copy of Kaido.
So?
And I just can't get Kaido. Even when he described it, like, are you just describing Kaido? Like,
Symphony. That doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter. I know that's the thing. I'm trying to say that it makes sense.
Maybe it's just
it has sense a lot of crossover. Like with Gajira, because he's like a humanoid Godzilla. A lot of his, like the drinking and the Kanabo, while also having crossover with Kaido, also makes sense if you're looking at it from a Godzilla fanboy standpoint, because like the Kanabo can represent Godzilla's tail. The drinking issue is actually I would say a pretty clever reference to like the main overall plot of the Heisei area Godzilla, where Godzilla was slowly getting drunk on like radiation and he was like burning himself out. And at the end of the Godzilla vs. Destroyer, which is the end of the Heisei era, Godzilla is implied to actually die from the radiation just melted him from inside out. That could be. It's just I can't really think of what I could do to make him seriously outside of him probably either doing what you say, like hierarchy. What the hell is that? Or make him like a sort of a berserker sort of thing. Like he's not thinking straight. Like he shows up periodically just destroying everything because in the story they go to like other worlds to do the challenges. Like he can just show up periodically, like, and each chapter can end with him destroying that specific world. Like at least it would be something.
Do you want my input?
Yeah, I would ask for your input. Let me just do this. Where would you put Nomura?
From what you told me, seems like a middle B.
Yeah, she would be in the B tier. Like she's nothing amazing, but it's serviceable for what the story is going for. Because just like Infinite, everything is like a comedic, is mostly a comedic story.
So what I like to do when I'm presented with a character is I like to keep the intention of the author while trying to make the intention work. So from what you told me, this character is immortal, wants to die.
Yeah.
Doesn't enjoy combat.
He doesn't enjoy combat, but he realizes the only way he can die is in combat.
I think the issue is that it's not that he doesn't enjoy combat; it's that he's bored with combat because he's immortal.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's no challenge.
Okay.
With immortal characters, there's always the issue of the immortality, meaning that you need to focus on more inner conflict. My thought would be, uncharacteristically, instead of trying to make them suffer, maybe try to make them happy. Like one of the issues that one of the things that I always want to do with like big, strong, tough characters is give them a sort of smaller, more vulnerable, emotional core that they can latch onto. Basically, introduce a smaller character who you basically just have to breathe on in order for them to die, and put them next to it, and just see what happens. Like, does this character like latch onto the innocence? Does he want to protect it, or does he sort of like detest the weakness and want to raise it up? Or does this innocence make him like reconsider his position on the world? Like maybe instead of becoming like an eternal destroyer, I can become like an eternal protector. Like maybe if the challenge of just fighting everything and not dying myself isn't satisfying, maybe I can find solace in the eternal challenge of keeping everyone around me safe. Like that could be a cool thing.
Okay, that could be an idea.
Sort of turn him from like a hero, sort of from a villain to sort of like an anti-hero. You know what this actually reminds me of?
What?
This reminds me of Inuyasha. I forget what his brother is called, but they introduce like a little girl that
Shishomaru.
Yeah, they introduce like a little girl that follows him around, and he just can't bring himself to kill it. Kill the little girl. So he basically just becomes like a demonic older brother to her, and we get to see like more of his softer side. And I think that's always like a fun idea to introduce like smaller, weaker characters along like the really OP ones, just to see them essentially treat them like a pet.
Okay, yeah, that works. That works well.
I mean, I
love the fact that we nearly went an hour and we only talked about 3 characters. We went nearly an hour and we only really talked about 3 characters.
That's because we talk about fixing and stuff.
That takes a
lot of time. No, what I also wanted to say is his origin implies that he can just pass on his power. So, like, you can introduce a sort of like mechanic where if you basically max out your relationship to another character, sort of like his father had to him, you can pass on that power, and sort of like be like And I'm passing everything that I am on.
Oh no, it wasn't his father. It was a secondary father figure. Gajira killed his father.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
And basically, you have this. You can have this smaller creature, and basically, you can have the implication of, do I actually pass my power onto him? Do I basically curse my child to inherit my throne? Do I want to give that? Like basically the idea that he'd have to wrestle with is, does it die? Do I let my child eventually die, or do I never let them die? And I think that could be like a cool idea around which you could center like conflict and character and stuff like that. So I think the idea to fix this character is give him a pet.
Just give him like a pet. Just give him like a pet. Okay. You could even do that. You can even reference Godzilla because the Heisei era also had him have a kid.
Yeah.
Okay, so
give him a child.
Yeah, that actually works.
Get him
Gajira Jr.
Child in the ruin of the city that he destroyed.
Okay, okay. I can work.
Why not?
Why not?
I mean, he knows found family's more important than real family, right? He had an adopted father too.
Yeah.
See, that works.
All right, let's do.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's do one more. Let's do one more character before we end it, and I want us to what I personally consider the best original character I've read in any fan fiction. Valkyrie from Fusion of Destinies 2. The single. Okay, so do you know what? So can you guess what Fusion of Destinies is a crossover of? Guess. It's a book and a game.
I have no idea.
I'll give you a hint. It's a very famous book, and the game is a Nintendo franchise.
I don't know books, but like Fate series?
No, I said a Nintendo franchise. Fate ain't Nintendo.
Fate Nintendo?
Yeah. Fate's not Nintendo. I think Fate is... Is it Atlas? No, I don't think it's Atlas. I can't remember I can't remember what Fate. Okay. So Fusion of Destinies is a crossover between Harry Potter and Metroid. This stunned silence over like, what the fuck have I gotten myself into?
I'm speechless.
Yes. Harry Potter and Metroid. Yeah, the one with Samus.
Harry Potter and Metroid.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
I just loved your stuff. Oh, if I could edit, I would just edit the reboot, the .exe not working sound. Do.
Yeah, go ahead. Explain to me why the crossover between Harry Potter and Metroid somehow has the best OC ever.
In my opinion. Okay.
Go ahead. Sure.
I'm having too much fun at you breaking. You're lucky I didn't pick the Exona from Dynamic Equilibrium. You probably break even more. Because that's just weirder.
It's way too late for me. I need sleep.
Okay. So, to talk about her character, I have to at least talk about how these two worlds kind of cross together. So, in the first Fusion of Destinies, we get a specific plot point where Harry overhears two wizards talking about a new spell someone made. So, and to put it in context, Fusion of Destinies 1 takes place between Goblet of Fire and Order of the Phoenix. Fusion of Destinies 2 takes place between Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince.
Mm-hmm.
So the spell in question is basically a sort of pseudo time travel spell where instead of you bringing stuff, you going to the past or in the future or anything, you basically etch a lasso onto anything from that specific time period. So like the future or the past. And the story even throws an example with someone in like I believe like a couple years ago in the story, basically uses a spell to go to World War II and snatch a nuclear warhead and basically just wanted to kill everyone. However, the spell has a built-in failsafe where if you use the spell to bring in anything malicious, the failsafe will actually kick in and bring in who is best equipped to deal with that issue with it, so that way they can stop what's bringing. So like when the person brought in the nuke, when they brought the nuke into the future, they brought someone who worked on that specific missile to basically disarm it. And so what happens in Fusion of Destinies 1 is, spoiler, Voldemort finds out about the spell, uses the spell to go into the future and grabs the remnants of the X parasites from Metroid Fusion and brings it into the past. However, the failsafe kicks in and brings Samus with it. Okay. And so Samus temporarily loses her memory from the crash, and she basically has to get she quickly gets her memory back, and then basically her and Harry have to team up to fight the X parasites because Harry gets like the same treatment Samus does in Metroid Fusion, where she basically does orders McGonagall and Dumbledore to basically put her blood into Harry because it's the only thing that can cure him. So at the beginning, that's the context of the first story. We'll get to that because we do have a character from that story that probably talk about another time. In this story, the story actually starts out with Samus going home and then somehow finding herself back into the past and gets knocked out. And then we get Snape talking about this girl named Valkyrie. So Valkyrie was a Ravenclaw. Instead of Gryffindor or anything like that, she's a Ravenclaw. She was very smart, and she basically had the same life experience as Harry. Like, she grew up, her parents were very famous, and Voldemort killed them, and she saw the whole thing. However, unlike Harry, who was a baby and so didn't realize the ramifications of what it was, Valkyrie was a little girl, so she still had memories of what happened. And so that kind of led her path in life of excelling in Hogwarts. She became an Auror, and over time she slowly became more obsessed with beating Voldemort at his own game. So you know what Voldemort's main plan is, right? In the books,
split his soul into 7 so he can't be killed.
Not that. Like, his main goal involving wizards and muggles.
Kill all the muggles.
Pretty much. Valkyrie becomes obsessed with the idea of stopping Voldemort's plan to the point where she becomes like a mirror image of him. So in essence, like the whole phrase with the abyss, what's the phrase called? How does the phrase go?
If you stare into the abyss stares back.
Yes, that's it. That's basically describes Valkyrie. And what I love about Valkyrie is, as we talked earlier with the idea of Idea Seuss, she's actually a deconstruction of the villain Sue archetype. Because when we're given this massive info dump on her, because before we even introduced to her in the story, we're given this gigantic info dump about her. We're told that she's done a bunch of these impossible things that no one has ever done before. That she brought the dead to life. She's able to do. She's done all this crazy stuff that not even Dumbledore has done, and it's kind of builds up this mystique of her. And then we're introduced to her, and she backs up everything she says. She brought Moaning Myrtle to life. She brought she turned Harry's aunt into a kappa that can use a wand. So she turned Harry's very abusive aunt into a magical creature. She basically caused a vampire to be to basically not die of thirst, and she basically gave an African boy a brain transplant, allowing him to use 2 wands, which is like literally impossible. And none of that stuff, all that stuff is impossible, but she somehow done it in like just such a determined thing. And we get in her introduction chapter, she brings Harry and all them and even Samus to Atlantis, well, an underwater city that she calls Atlantis, where you see like all these like sort of pseudo socialist utopia where you see centaurs and gremlins and goblins are all working together to keep the city from kind of blowing up. There's like a topiary, there's like all this stuff. However, throughout that one chapter, both Samus and Harry kind of get like a really weird like gut feeling, like something we don't see, but we don't trust it. Like there's something more to it. And so the end of the chapter comes, and Valkyrie basically talks to Harry in front of Samus' ship to take him back to Hogwarts. And Valkyrie offers him a position to work for her. However, Harry still has that gut feeling like there's something more to this, and I don't like it. So Harry politely tells her no. Valkyrie asks again, and Harry still repeats no. And then we get in the story, we see her eye twitch. Like the author even writes like her eye slightly twitches, and you realize, oh, she really did not like that. And that is the basis of her entire character, because she is someone who's predicated her life on trying to achieve the impossible. Everything she planned always goes right. Everything she sets her mind to, she always succeeds. And it's slow, and her character arc actually is her slowly starting to unravel, because she planned everything to wow Harry Potter to just literally just easily sway him over to her side, and she just can't take the fact that he said no. And then she slowly starts to unravel, and she sees herself as someone who's not perfect. And she hates it. She's absolutely disgusted by the idea that she's not perfect. And she slowly starts to unravel to she's still trying to maintain this idea of absolute perfection to her people, but to her and Snape, because she manages to get Snape on her side because apparently they dated. It's just Snape. It's and even Snape slowly starts to realize that she's going overboard, and her plans start to just completely unravel with them finding out that she's even worse than Voldemort. Like, she causes Harry and Voldemort to actually team up when they realize, she's way worse than you. It's like, yeah, she is. Because
I love that. I love that kind of character.
No,
so one-track minded and so consumed by their own power that they forgot what they acquired all this power even for.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And here's the disturbing part. Her entire plan, you know how Voldemort's plan is to basically wipe out all the Muggles. Mm-hmm. Valkyrie's plan is to spread a massive virus around the Earth to basically turn the entire human race into wizards. Let me finish.
Not a great plan.
Exactly, because they actually find out that virus, if it's allowed to go off, it will wipe out 60% of the world population. And that's not human. 60, they're counting magical animals and animals too. She will literally wipe out half of all life on Earth if she gets away with it. And she's so consumed with one-upping and beating Voldemort at his own game, she doesn't even realize that what she's doing is bad. She still thinks at the end of the day
could she be one of my people?
Yeah. She still thinks that at the end of the day, she's what she's doing is good. What she's doing will beat Voldemort, and so Voldemort doesn't have to complete his plans, and they can get rid of him, and now there's no more wars, there's no more violence, and even in the story, they call us out. It's like you risk giving actual criminals the ability to use magic. Do you realize how bad that is? And she's like, I'm still stopping Voldemort. I'm still stopping him.
You can't kill the Muggles if all the Muggles are gone.
Yeah, that's basically her rationale, and it's such, and there's entire like, and she even outdoes Voldemort at like the Horcruxes. Like, you know how Voldemort split his soul into like 7 Horcruxes?
Yep.
She split her soul into like 50 something Horcruxes, and she put all those souls inside Metroids. She used a spell from, which is eventually revealed how Samus actually got back to the past. At the same time, Samus went back to the future. Valkyrie used the spell to take the Metroid information and start breeding her own Metroids, and that caused Samus to go back in time. And it's such an amazing. It's just the idea of this person the idea of someone who's obsessed with perfection to the point of obsession, and her slowly unraveling was such a magnificent character arc. It was so brilliant. The only disappointing part is when they actually went to fight her, and the whole fight was just a massive disappointment. It's like all that build up for just such a bad fight. It's like, oh, it's two faces. It's Harry, Hermione, Ron, and Samus versus Valkyrie and Snape, who's wielding an MP40 on a flying motorcycle on the moon. And then the fight actually happens, and you're like, oh no! No! The build up was so. Meep? Oh no, is he? Are you there? Oh no, I think I lost him. Yeah, I'll put Valkyrie right next to. I'll put Valkyrie right next to Puppy Smiles. Oh no, he's gone. Are you back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think Discord's acting up again.
I thought you just me.
No, it just
like we're saying, like that description that you gave reminds me a lot of Azula.
Yeah. Except did Azula not like the fact that she's not perfect?
Yeah. Dude, that was the entire point why she went mad during the last half.
Oh yeah, and she fought Katara. Yeah, it's been so long since I fought up.
It was because she miscalculated. Like one of the my favorite moment from the Boiling Rock is when Ty Lee and May just attack Azula, and then Mai just says, "You miscalculated. I love Zuko more than I fear you." And then she just bursts out, "No, you miscalculated!" And she's like, "Wait, what? What happened? This shouldn't have been like I knew that shouldn't have worked." And it's been
there is a lot of Azula and Valkyrie. I think the only difference between Azula and Valkyrie would be more their outside presentation to how the people see them, because Azula, even like when she starts to unravel, like people can easily see that. But Valkyrie is trying to hide that from everyone because she wants to still maintain that illusion of perfection and just the fact that she'll ultimately win in the end, which she does. Like not in the way when the fact that like at the beginning of the third final arc, like she literally gets all her forces and just attacks Hogwarts and takes it over. Like she literally takes over Hogwarts and everyone would have died if not for Hagrid and that chick from the other school, that giant chick from the other school he had a crush on, didn't go to save rescue them.
Turns me off.
Huh? Discord cut you off?
Ego.
Yeah.
Hello?
You said Ego.
Yeah, Ego. She reminds me of Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, Ego the Living Planet?
Yes. Like at the beginning, Ego just comes in like the Heavenly Father says, like, "Oh, Quill, I'm your father, and I have this amazing planet, and everything is beautiful and wonderful." And as soon as and he tries to separate like him, Peter, from his friends and stuff like that, and then you find out like, oh, he's killed children, and I need to take over the universe. It's impossible for me, but me and you, we can do it. And then basically he goes mad when Quill refuses his offer when he finds out that Ego murdered his mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I didn't see Guardians of the Galaxy 2, so I don't know for sure, but it does sound exactly like Valkyrie.
Yeah, the idea of basically presenting himself as like a really benevolent character and eventually just turning evil. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
if it's done well,
it's done really well in the story.
Yeah, then I think that goes into S tier.
Yep, like I said, the only bad part about Valkyrie is when they actually confront her. You're thinking there's all this magnificent build up, and then the final fight is just a massive letdown. It's them. It's Samus, Harry, Hermione, and Ron versus Valkyrie and Snape, who's driving a motorcycle while also holding an MP40 on the moon. And you're thinking, okay, this is gonna be complete bonkers, and it's just like, oh no,
boring.
It's underwhelming. It's like they built her up so much that no amount that it wasn't gonna live up to the hype.
Okay, I think that does it for today, right?
Yeah. We still got a bunch of other characters. Like we have the Yu-Gi-Oh! Thousand Year Door characters. We have the Yu-Gi-Oh! We have the actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, except for Melanie. And we have a bunch of them.
But I really need to go soon. So.
Oh, don't worry. Well,
I just wanted a nice way to wrap this up.
Yeah. So you have anything to say before we go end this?
It's been a pleasure. I always love to talk about writing, and if any of the fanfic writers that I talked about want to talk to me, well, you have Symphony, and he can contact me. So, yeah.
All right.
That's it.
I'll see you. Have a good day.
Okay. See ya. Bye.
Bye.